Hey y'all, my name is Z Infante. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Director of Youth Outreach for the Future Perfect Project. We believe that the self expression of LGBTQ plus teens and allies is a declaration of a better future for us all. I'm souped tonight to be in conversation with my dear colleague and friend, Emma Jayne. She and I are going to have a conversation about us, about FPP, about what it means to create art in the world today. Hey, Mountaineer Bean, so happy to see you. Great you're with us. This is gonna be awesome. I'm really excited to have some friends in the house. Here we go. Oh, Emma Jayne is here. Oh my gosh, here we go on a Monday night.
Hey!
Emma, hey girl.
What's up, girl?
I'm happy to see you. I'm pinning in the chat live with Emma and Z.
Can anybody
Pin
see or
that
hear
stuff.
me?
I can hear you. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see and
Okay.
hear you.
All right. You are seen. You are seen and you are heard.
You're seen and heard too. Thanks for
And
coming,
what you
everybody.
say matters. And what you say matters, like Oprah says.
Oh, thanks, Opes.
I'm
um,
seriously vibing Oprah tonight.
Loving Opes lately. I want to acknowledge that Mountaineer Bean said, "Can we talk about what's happening if Biden wins? I'm scared." Are you scared for Biden? You're scared of Biden winning? Let's talk about it.
Let's cover that.
I just
Like
knocked on
throw it
doors
out
for
there.
Biden today.
Are you just what today?
Knocked on doors for Biden today, which felt really
Oh my
good.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes, doing your part in the last, the last sprint. It's just a crazy day. I'm really glad that we're having this conversation right now because it feels like FPP is in a place where it's more necessary than ever for our queer community. And I just think we do some good stuff. And you're such a good person in the world.
Me
And thank
too.
you for doing that. Thank you for doing that today. Like,
Duh.
truly, exercising your ability as a citizen.
How could I
Hey,
not?
hey, Jay Lexi. How do I say it? Jay Lexi Lewis. Nice to
To
see you.
Lexi Lewis.
Jay Lexi Lewis is in the house. So I was just saying a little bit about FPP and like who we are, what we do. We provide arts programming to LGBTQ plus teens for free.
For free.
So please invite your friends, your family, your beloved queer teens. Emma and I both facilitate workshops as well as we do some like administrative work that makes the magic happen behind the screens. I feel like we're very transparent though, am I right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're a really small team, and so we. Oh, can you see me?
I can see you, yeah.
Yeah, we're a really small team, so most of the work that we're doing, you're seeing in real time.
Yeah, yeah, it's truly happening. Oh, Lexi's a Q2 alum. Hey,
That's
Lexi.
great.
Both of us are Q2 alum as well.
So we thought ahead of the election, instead of having a special guest, we could just interview each other. We're not only facilitators for the Future Perfect Project, but we are autobiographical artists ourselves. So we just wanted to have a conversation about making art, especially in times like right now, where to find that inspiration, and offer you this free arts resource and queer community when I feel like we need it the most, kind of.
Yeah, I'm vibing for it. When we decided to do this, I recognized it was not only an opportunity for me to get to know you better as an artist, but for us to get to discover ourselves as artists in another way, and for our community to really think about the questions that we ask today to each other. I'm like, I just want to get
Totally.
real with you, you know?
You too. And I know I talked a big game about like, I'm going to get people to come to this live. I'm sorry I didn't deliver, but people can watch this after.
We're gonna have such a great conversation. And people are coming in. I love this. I just love that
Let's
people are
do
coming.
it.
So yeah, let me dive in. So I've been doing a lot of listening to your music.
Oh, thank you.
In like life, but also in the shower where I like do some of my most profound thinking. And Tandem Bike is one of those songs that like always gets me when I think about like self-love and being able to love and sit in my own seat, right? You say, you sing on my way, on my journey, I feel so complete. I love that lyric. And I'm wondering like what brings you to that seat? Like what is it in life that brings you to that moment where you feel complete in in yourself?
Well, the thing about being an artist is sometimes I'm writing songs for a future me that I'd like to be. And so I was feeling really down and out and not confident, but wrote a song as if I was, and it really helped. So the things that help me are kind of envisioning and imagining this future version of myself that is happier and successful and secure. That really helps. And writing about it and ruminating on it and kind of like willing it to happen. And just like reminding myself that I have community around me. I have community tattooed on my wrist in Hebrew. And community's just always been super important to me as someone who's moved around a lot, as someone who's like involved in a lot of hobbies and clubs and college and stuff like that. I just really feel my best self when I'm in community. So envisioning my perfect future self and being with people, which is when I was knocking on doors for Biden today, I like loved talking to strangers so much. And I was like, why do I feel so fulfilled right now? And it's like, I haven't gotten to talk to a stranger in who knows how long. That was a long-winded answer.
No, it's deep. It's real. I love how you always bring things to the present.
Oh,
And
thanks.
something that makes, like, when I really think about you as well, I think of a mental health advocate. And you talk about it a bit in Connie. And there's an article in the Boston University paper where you talk about growing up with anxiety. And I'm wondering what you can say to our queer youth, or to queer people in general who are struggling with anxiety and mental health issues. I'm wondering what you would say to them in terms of their artistic journey. Like, what do you write from a place of where you are emotionally, or does it shift? Are you writing away from what you're creating? What's that journey like for you?
Really good question. And to anyone who is, going through it and needs someone to talk to and maybe doesn't have access to therapy, you should totally take advantage of the Trevor Project. It's the only 24-hour hotline for LGBTQIA plus people, or really anybody, to call and just have someone to talk to. You can call, you can chat, you can join, like basically they're on the social network. Oh my God, Z disappeared. That rocked your world. That resource rocked your world. And so if you are going through something, I encourage you to reach out for help, and you are worthy of help and deserve help. It doesn't matter if people are going through it worse than you. That's a big thing I have to tell myself. In terms of art, I do not feel very inspired to make stuff right now. So when I'm sad, I either write a song to future me and kind of will myself to imagine a happier future me, or I will write a song for somebody else. And one of the songs I wrote most recently is for the young people we work with. And the name is called the Trevor Project. Someone who just asked. And Alex, that's so great that you called the hotline. I hope it was helpful. Love you. So anyway, yeah, the song I wrote most recently was for the youth we work with who are stuck at home, potentially with people that don't understand them. And so that felt really cathartic and good. So even if I'm not in a good place, I can try to heal others through my art, which feels productive and ends up healing me. And
Yeah.
I see Mountaineer Bean is talking about a really scary theory about what's happening if Biden wins. And I hear your fear, and I hear that you're scared about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what to say other than like, there's always a space for you here, and if you need community, there's always a space for you here, and there's always the Trevor Project if you need someone to talk to. I'm really scared. I'm really scared about the election too, and I think just admitting that we're scared is okay.
I agree. When I saw your questionnaire, your question, Mountaineer Bean, I was thinking the work that's been done in the past in regards to this kind of um, anger and violence. And I think it's spaces like FPP, the Trevor Project, and like you were just saying, Emma, about community. Like I find peace. And I recognize too, and we can talk about this later, but like I'm running for school board, and there's been a lot of prejudice that I've faced in that. And what I've been taught and what I've been shown is that when I meet things with grace, and with community, I always feel much safer. I'm wondering too, then if you can speak to that point, Emma, about like what, there's so much uncertainty in the world, and I'm wondering if like there's like one thing that like is bringing you peace that you are certain of.
Oh man, I am always certain about my friends. I'm always certain about, I'll name a few things. I'm
Yeah.
certain about food being really delicious. I'm working on repairing my relationship with food right now, and I'm excited to make chili this week with lots of cheese and vegetables and sour cream. Um, I think holding on to your simple pleasures, even if people don't understand them, is always a good thing. I've been enjoying the crossword. I've been enjoying watching movies I always meant to watch. There's always going to be like art for us to consume, which is really great. And you don't even need to like consume it in an academic way. You can just enjoy art. And that's so nice that like art is always there for us. And the thing keeping me going right now is the young people we work with, really. And I'm not being paid to say this. I genuinely love what we do and just have a lot of hope being around young people. I also have a 16-year-old sister who's about to be 17. She gives me a lot of hope. She's just really, mature and brave and wise and has great advice. And so just the young people are always inevitably going to impress me and make me want to be a better version of myself. So that's what's keeping me hopeful right now.
That's yummy. And I mean that quite literally. It fills my belly with like
I know. I
warm
can't stop thinking about this
sensation.
chili. I can't stop thinking about the chili.
Yes, yeah. Someone just said we love chili. We stand chili. Um, I I feel so chill with you. I'm just gonna acknowledge that and take
You
that space.
too. I
Um,
feel so chilly.
like I have like questions because I nerd out on you, and it's like when I had the opportunity to learn a little bit more about you. Um, I know we've talked about college a cappella and writing, and working in music as a music director. I'm wondering if you can speak. Oh, really quickly. Someone said, "Do you guys have any LGBT plus books? I'm looking for a new one." Do you have any suggestions, Em?
Obviously you have to read Fun Home. It's a graphic novel, so it's easy to read. And it's a very gay graphic novel. Please read it.
Yeah.
And it was turned into a musical, obviously. And that whole series, what are they called? The
Pocket Change Collective.
The Pocket Change Collective is really awesome. It's all these like really quick reads from experts in gender, queer issues, race issues, art issues, and so definitely worth a read. And yes, Flamer.
I just got the
Celeste.
copy, Celeste. I'm so excited to read and to watch those pictures. I'm so excited about that.
Did you hear my heart beating so fast when someone asked me for a book rack? I'm triggered from being an English major and having to read really bad books. So like I kind of don't read that much anymore. So it's like someone's like, Emma, what books are you into? And I'm like, bleats like a goat.
Oh, is that the sound a goat makes?
I don't know. Or a dolphin. I don't know.
Bleat?
I don't know.
Is it called
Bleat.
bleeding?
Isn't it called bleeding? BLEAT?
Now, I didn't go to school for English.
Someone fact check that.
Does Taylor Swift have a book? Read
Taylor
Taylor
Swift is
Swift's
on
book.
prep. Get out of here.
Leave. No, don't really stay, but that's kind of funny. So I was just asking, you have a lot of music background in your youth, and I'm wondering like if there was that, like Nashville, for instance, when you were in Nashville for a week and you were writing your album, like what was that experience like, or recording your album? What was that experience really focusing in on your art? And would you recommend people like taking that time or
Well, I want to first
cultivating that life?
acknowledge Yeah, great question. I'm sorry to cut you off at the end. I'm just like feel my answer bubbling out. I want to acknowledge that I have an immense privilege and that I was gifted studio time as a graduation present, and not everyone can just like take off for a week and drop everything and focus on their art. Like that's an immense privilege that I had at that time, and still have because of my job. I get to be a working artist. So that's number one. Number two, if you do have the means, focusing in on your art is really scary because you have to, if you're anything like me, I have so many imposter syndrome moments where I'm like, am I really a good singer or is everyone just being nice? Am I a good artist or is everyone just being nice? And so you have to have a bit of belief in yourself if you're going to focus in on your art, because it takes time and we don't like to waste time in this family. And so you have to believe in your art so you feel like the time you're spending on your art is not a waste. Focusing on my art helped me start to believe that I was an artist and worthy of taking time on my art. And when I was in Nashville, I worked with all men, and it was a good lesson in advocating for myself and sticking up for myself and my opinions as a younger woman with a bunch of men. And so a lot of men in the music industry that you just have to stick up for yourself. And so I learned a lot, both of myself as an artist and my worth, and also my worth as a woman. And I wasn't gay then, but a queer woman with a bunch of straight guys.
Well, that makes me think, we've had this conversation before about when we were talking to students at Kappa in Philadelphia, coming out late in life. And I'm wondering, because your music progressively gets gayer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm wondering, like, what it was like for you coming out later in life, and what it was like to start writing differently.
Totally. I just want to like answer some questions in the chat.
Please do.
Talking to Todrick Hall changed my life. It was a cultural reset. And I'm talking to you from Philly. Where are you located, Z?
I'm talking to you from Roselle Park, New Jersey. The
I
bird.
wish I was registered to vote there so I could vote for you. Anyway, we'll talk more on that later. Although I'm actually really glad to be registered to vote in Philly.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're registered to vote in Philly.
Same. So my music getting gayer and gayer. Coming out, I feel funny saying I came out late because some folks, like my grandma came out very late in life, like had a whole marriage and 4 kids and then came out. Shout out Helene Sislowski. But I was nervous to come out. It's weird. When you come out, there wasn't an aha moment for me. It was a lot of like giving myself permission to embrace my queerness and then looking back and being like, oh, it makes sense that I never had a boyfriend. It makes sense that I was like never really into guys. Like you were gay this whole time. So it's a lot of like playing Nancy Drew and like looking at your past and being like the clues of my gayness. So it was really scary at first. I also had gay imposter syndrome. I thought I was not a real gay person. I was like, what if I wake up tomorrow and I'm straight? And I still think that sometimes, which is scary. But all in all, would recommend coming out if it's safe to do so. I feel a lot freer, and coming out as a queer person gave me a lot of permission to just like explore every aspect of my life, whether it's gender or like music genre or job opportunities. Like once you go gay, you also go like anything's possible, sky's the limit. And so I love that about being queer.
Oh, that's so, again, really yummy. That's just really yummy and
Delish.
And just sort of one of our like really recurring questions that I want to get to is, when was that moment in high school where you finally felt like you could exercise your agency, where like something was different in the world that you saw something that you wanted to change and you were able to exercise that agency? Do you have that moment?
I don't think I did that in high school. I'm going to be honest. We had a walkout. We had a strike. The students striked for the teachers to get fair wages, and I did not walk out because I was scared of getting in trouble. So I was kind of a little sheep for most of my life and was scared of the word feminist and was like very like wanted male approval, all of that. And so I just want to acknowledge that and hold space for little Emma, who is just kind of like a little compulsive heteronormative girly living her life. I think I started to exercise agency in college and do things for myself. I did a lot of second guessing though. Like I feel like right now is when I'm finally doing things for myself for the first time. Like I was living with a lot of shoulds for a very long time and still do. Like I think a side effect of depression and anxiety is you're like, well, my brain is beating up on me all the time. Like, can I even trust myself? But when George Floyd was murdered, I think there was a really big overdue wake-up call of interrogating the institutions you're a part of to make them more actively anti-racist and gay affirming and all that. And so I, with some others, signed a petition to make my overnight camp that I went to for years and years a more equitable place. And that felt like a really scary thing to kind of ask a place you love to improve. But I felt really good about it. And that felt like it happened a few months ago, but that felt like the first time I really truly expressed my agency. I have in little ways before, but that felt like a big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's scary to like challenge the places you love a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of which, can you hear the dog and like my mom walking in the door right now? And
Can't at all.
Okay.
But like
challenging the places you love.
We got to challenge that noise, honey.
And I guess I just want to like segue into our next section by asking you, because it seems like the conversation in our chat has been very like the world right now, and I want to make sure that we're acknowledging the world right now. And I'm wondering, along with going and knocking on doors for Biden and Harris, I'm wondering what it is that you feel you can do in this moment, whatever the outcome of the election is. Like, what is it that you're able to do?
That's a good one. Sometimes I feel useless. Other times I can recognize that I'm a caretaker. I'm a double water sign, honey. And I love caring for people and holding space for them and being a safe person for them to talk to. And I'm going to do that if Biden wins, if Trump wins, if nobody wins, like I'm going to keep doing that. So that's one thing I can do. And I think using she pronouns in my art and continuing to make like gay art and art about mental health and art about just me that is about important stuff, but also like art that you can sing along to and get into. Like if I can reach one person with that and make them feel a little less alone, that's another thing I can do. So I feel really lucky to be a caretaker and a facilitator with the Future Perfect Project and an artist. Like those are my things I can always do.
Yeah. And for those of you who are watching, who get to watch this later, please follow us at the Future Perfect Project. We provide arts programming to LGBTQ plus youth through Zoom. And it's a really incredible community that we're building. And we're always looking for new members of our family. That is
yes. I was speaking to someone today who is not out and was worried about joining. They said, I'd love to join, but I'm not out. And you can totally not be out, or you could be questioning and join our little, strong, mighty, awesome, loving family. There's room for everybody, and everything that happens in our workshop stays there. So we're not in the business of like making anybody come out. We're in the business of meeting you where you are and supporting you. So
yeah, we build a space agreement so that everyone feels like they can express themselves openly and freely. And I also just want to acknowledge my boyfriend put in the chat that my mom heard me say that. So
oh my God.
Just so everyone that's watching, this is real.
This is real life. When you're a celebrity, sometimes your mom still walks in the background. That's okay.
Yep. Love her. Love you, mom.
Love
Truly.
that. Okay, I'll take one more question, and then I really want to ask you some questions.
Yeah, so let me ask you. You this is a like
I'm
maybe a
scared.
deep dive. What?
I said I'm scared, but I'm ready.
No. This is a deep dive. You've talked about it already, anxiety and depression. I'm wondering, you're a huge advocate,
I'm
and
very pro everyone having anxiety and depression. I hope everyone has it. Huge advocate. If you don't have it,
just
I can tell you
waving the
some things.
flag.
Right, exactly.
So I'm
JK.
wondering, like, what in those darkest moments, if you want to share one with us, in those darkest moments, what was it that helped you find that the light, for lack of a better metaphor?
So when I'm in my darkest places, why did I literally am not gonna cry, but like it sounded like I was about to cry. And I'm the first to admit when I'm gonna cry, honey. When I'm in my darkest places, I convince myself I'm bad at music and that I have no interest in playing it, which sucks because music is really the thing that lifts me out. So I have to really get myself to make music and get out of bed and put on clothes. That really helps. Like doing like your normal everyday things really helps. It kind of tricks your brain into being like, oh, we're doing our routine, we're doing our normal everyday thing. Oh, you must not be sad. That helps. I distinctly remember in college having a moment where literally it felt like the world was in grayscale. Like if you've ever edited a photo and you've like turned the saturation down, that's what the world felt like to me. Everything felt so ugly. Food tasted really bad. Everything was just like so sucky. And so I went to this beautiful place in campus where I could look out the window and I called my therapist and was like, something is wrong. Something's wrong. And I asked for help. And so asking for help is really hard when you're in a low place and you feel like you don't deserve it. So I do this sometimes. I write myself like little notes to look at when I'm sad. When I'm in a good place, I write myself little notes that remind myself like I'm worthy. I'm a good musician. I'm a good artist. I deserve good things. And if I think we should all write a letter to ourselves tonight because who knows what tomorrow will bring. That we can look at and remind ourselves that we're seen and we are worthy of love. So in those dark moments, I really got to turn to non-depressed Emma for a little wisdom and a reminder that I'm going to be okay and I should ask for help.
Mm.
Asking for help doesn't make you weak, BTW.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the solution. I
Sometimes
find
it
that
is the solution.
I find that for myself, like 9 times out of 10, I'm usually isolating. Do you mean that's like that's just continuing the problem? Like something could shift if I just asked for help and reached out a hand. And sometimes recognizing that, like, I can be that hand for other people, or when I see my friend struggling, or I haven't heard from a friend in a couple of days, especially my queer community, it's like we gotta like band together now more than ever.
Check on your gays, everybody.
Yes.
All right, so now we're going to interview you. And I kind of want to ask you the mental health question. How do you get out of your dark moments? And do you feel inspired to create when you're going through a not so easy time, mental health wise?
Oh my God, I never have difficulties ever.
Same.
Uh,
My mom
JK.
like takes pictures like this, by the way, like her
This is
selfies.
my aunts have conversations like this. Um,
Z.
always. Um, with that bit of light, when I'm so I have depression and anxiety and bipolar disorder, and something that I find when I'm in like the highs and the lows and I'm like bouncing and the mania is extreme. Um, Sometimes I just need to be sad, and that's what I'm learning in therapy and in working with others. But like, it's okay to feel how I feel and to maybe sometimes share that with someone. Um, but I also have a really rich spiritual life now. And so I have many ways in which I express my spirituality. I pray, I meditate, I chant, I write, and a lot of that routine sometimes like falls to the wayside when I'm in that
Totally.
high or in that low. And what seems to bring me back is time. And honestly, knowing the diagnosis was like, oh my God, now I get it. I have an
Right.
imbalance of chemicals in my brain. Like that's is so real. Oh, someone said, check on your gaze, the motto of a homosexual optometrist. I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Um,
Dylan.
so I really love a good
A
check-in.
fun vibe.
That's like what
Yes.
brings me out of that darkness.
Yeah, it must have been so relieving having a name to what you were feeling. Like having
Mhm.
a, and speaking of that, do you find labels like to describe queerness comforting or constricting?
Ah, so I have a friend who doesn't like identifies as queer, but does not identify as being gay. They were assigned male at birth, and they identify as a man. And he was sharing that he once got into an argument with an older man who was gay, saying, "No, like you have to claim the identity. Like you're doing a disservice to the queer community by not claiming that you're
Mm.
gay." And I was like, "What? Like, who? Why am I? Why is my experience? Why does it have to be of service to you or to some other person? It's like at the end of the day, it has to serve me as
Mm.
first, so that I can better serve other people. If I'm not taking care of myself and doing the inward work, then I don't know. So for me personally, they're helpful. Um, they're words for an experience. Like for instance, being a non-binary person, a trans non-binary person, I like it was a word for an experience that I'd never had, or that I'd never had words for. Sorry, an
Mm.
experience that I'd
Mm.
always had that I never had words for.
Totally.
So yeah, that's sort of what that experience has transcended into.
And it's cool that like you can be queer and you can love labels and you can not love labels and like it's all valid. It's all it's all real. Um, do you have a moment where you like met your first person who is non-binary or like found out what non-binary even meant? Like what was your moment where you're like, "Oh, this is the thing?"
Yeah, so I
Your
was
smile
at
just got
a
so bright.
because I think of this person constantly, like they will always have an imprint on my life.
That's awesome.
So E Boylan is a brilliant composer, director, all around badass person. And I was at a salon, a presentation of music for a company called the Music Theater Factory. And I was interning there, or I was serving as a producing intern, and performing that night in the same salon. And I remember them singing this song and it being about like the many facets of the body, like the like gender identity versus sexual orientation, and all of this, like the body and the emotions. And I was just enraptured by E. And they they changed my life. So like there's ingrained in my mind the moment that I saw them sit behind the piano in their yellow jacket to their knees, and not yellow, pink jacket to their knees, their beautiful like blondish tipped hair, and their deep blue eyes. Like it will always stick out in my mind.
That's why seeing yourself and representation is so important. Like, had I not, and Grace and I were talking about this last week, like, it took so long for us to see gay girls that reminded us of us. And I'm sure it took you a while to see someone that reminded you of you.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Very much so. Very much so. Especially like being a Latinx person, it was like I felt alone a lot. Um and now that I'm out and I'm in search of my people, it's like we're everywhere, you know?
Totally.
And the more that we come out, the more opportunities young queer people have to see themselves. So that's a huge point to be made. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really glad you had that experience. It's so crazy how easily we can find folks online. Like the internet is and social media can be toxic.com, but can also be amazing. Like we at the Future Perfect Project are doing a really big animations project where we're animating queer narratives, and it's our mission to have the person animating reflect the experience of the person we interview. And so you can literally type in like queer indigenous animator into Twitter and find a queer indigenous animator. Many. And so it's really getting a lot easier to find your people and find your
Mm-hmm.
people that are just like you. Like I'm sure I could type in like chapstick lesbian Jewish and to TikTok or like Twitter, and like in those moments I'm like, I'm not as unique as I thought I was. So you've been an artist since you were a little thing. Have you always felt like an artist? Like, did you come out of the womb with a painter's palette and a beret? Tell me your journey. And could you imagine? We should all come out with
um,
costumes. That's so cute.
yeah, I danced in circles in the living room. My sister and I would just dance in circles in the living room, and we'd like make up musicals and sing to the different soundtracks of movies. And Anastasia was the like one that sticks out to me. We used to perform the Anastasia soundtrack, and like that scene in the ball, like that ballroom scene, we would just like float on air. But yeah, so I did musicals and danced, and then I started working in film and TV, and that's where I was really like, this is cool. Like I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And like I've also been hooked on musicals. Like I love being in front of an audience and sharing that experience with an audience. That whole like that energy, that like the singleness of a heartbeat, that like we're all beating in tandem in front of a live audience. So like you just can't get anywhere else.
That's so beautiful. I love that. I had a really great question for you. It's gonna come back. Oh, got it. So I see you're wearing your NYU hat. Go Violets. Um, Not everyone can go to art school or like pursue their art in that way. I'm glad we offer free arts workshops so you can hone in on your craft for free. What are some of the best lessons that you've learned about being an artist outside of the classroom and outside of your formal training?
Girl, so real. Yeah, I'll acknowledge that I have crippling student loan debt. um,
I'll be the first to say that I'm in debt.
um, and and I was actually on a panel last week talking about student loan debt and talking about the expense of universities and how corrupt the circumstances are today. So while I wouldn't trade my experience for the world, I also recognize that I come from a place of privilege. I'm in having that experience. So what I've learned outside of the classroom is that no one will teach you to be the diva that you have to be for yourself. The like all that motivation that you can get from friends, and it like at the end of the day, if I don't believe it myself, then like as an artist, it's gonna be really hard to sustain that practice. So I have been working every day to make sure that I take care of myself and take care of the diva that I am. And I don't mean diva in the sense of like, oh my God, I got a problem all the time. I got drama. Mi gente, I mean someone who's willing to ask for help, who's willing to say that they're wrong, someone who's willing to acknowledge that they are imperfect, and like the bare bones of who I am. That's like the biggest lesson outside of the classroom is like we're all born naked and the rest is drag. You know, that's the reality.
I love your definition of a diva. That's so true. Like, I think sometimes we associate power with like this like loud version of ourselves or this like stilettos version of ourselves, but sometimes it's the version of ourselves that admits we're wrong is really strong to me.
Mm-hmm.
So you're running for public office. You're not only, yes, I heard. You're not only an incredible autobiographical, vulnerable artist, but you're also about to become a public servant. What made you want to go through that path, go to that journey?
Yeah, I was at a Black Lives Matter march in my town. It was the first time that there had ever been a protest in my square mile town in the middle of New Jersey. And I felt an urgency. I just felt like progressive values, like, I mean, basic human decency is really what I'm running on. What I call progressive, some people might call progressive values.
Isn't that insane? Anyway.
Yeah. That running on that has been a really huge, on the points of just inclusive curriculum, diversity in hiring practices, making sure that the mental and physical welfare of our students is paramount.
And let people know what you're running for.
Oh yeah, I'm running for the Roselle Park Board of Education as a school board member.
Woo!
Woo! And so after going to that march, formulating what it was that I wanted to run behind, it came to that moment where I was just, I guess I'd always said, oh, I'll run after I get this job, or I'll run after I make this much money, or I'll run after, putting everything in the future tripping. And again, that urgency came over. It was like, oh my God, win, lose, or draw, I have to run.
Totally.
So yeah, that's where the motivation came from.
And I think it's a good lesson in that, like, artists are not just artists. Like, you can make your art, you can be a teacher, you can be a public servant, like you can be all of it, and you are really a testament to that.
There's also a really a queer icon of mine, or a role model of mine, is Jabari Brisport, who is on the ballot tomorrow in New York, running for state senate, as an openly queer, a man who is Black, and I believe he's making history in his district, and that's like, representation matters, and he's an artist, he's a creator, and it's about recognizing that, like, art is a form of, from my point of view, a form of service, right?
Totally.
And so it's like, sometimes there are dinner theaters, you're working in the arts and in the service industry.
Yes.
It like makes it that much more real. So I'm in the business of service as an artist, and so it just felt like, oh, okay, I see how it would be of value for me to run.
Totally. Sorry, the Thai food just got here, so there's a little background noise. My last question for you, because we're nearing the end of this, is what is your perfect future for yourself and for, I believe the children are the future. What's your perfect future for our youth?
I was just lip syncing. I felt it.
I was like, no, I want to hear your beautiful voice. No sound is coming out.
My perfect future is, the words that are going on in my head are like time and dimension.
Okay, explain.
Augmented time and multiple dimension, is recognizing that this life is whole and complete, when I choose to see it that way. Yet it always is. Like, there's always a dimension, there's always a time in my belief system that I am whole and complete. And it's when I choose to live in that light, to live in that space, to live in the capital S self, as our beloved Celeste says. It's like, the future is brighter when or the perfect future for me is one in which I live whole and complete, and one in which I share that with others. And I think that for the young people that are watching, I hope that we will find ways in time uh, to live on the same plane as each other, to recognize, to treat each other equitably, to recognize that we can make the impossible possible, and to believe that we cannot is something that I refuse to give up on world peace. Do you know what I mean? I refuse to give up on ending world hunger. Like, those are things that feel impossible, but that I believe in. So it's one where we are convicted towards our beliefs.
Oh, thank you for not giving up, and thank you for being you and committing your life to such a wonderful thing, which is just like equity in its purest form.
I love your light so
I
much,
love
Emma.
you. I love you. We're gonna wrap up. I just decided we're gonna shut
Yes.
this down. Thank you to those who popped in for a little while, for those who watched this whole darn thing. We have free programming every single week. We're here for you this crazy election week. We have a workshop on Wednesday for us to debrief whatever way this election goes. And Thursday is kind of an open mic moment where you can come and share music that you're working on. And if you're watching this in the future, we have free workshops every single week. So sign up with the link in our bio and get involved, because everyone deserves community and a place to express themselves without judgment.
Live free.
Live
Live your
free.
time.
I love you so much, and see you at our meeting tomorrow. Can you believe this is our life and our job?
Yes, the dream. I'm grateful we get to share this dream with everyone that's watching. So much love. So much
Loving
light.
you.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, everybody.